So this one is all about booty call, booty calls, booty calls. So Rachel Raquel was spotted, aka seen leaving Tom Sandoval's and Ariana's home. Don't forget, that is Ariana's house. As we all know, Ariana is filming, I believe she's in Canada. She's filming a Lifetime movie with Megan Good. And it's a very similar theme to the same Lifetime movie that Garcelle Bouvet from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills executive produced and started. It's about missing and exploited girls when it comes to sex trafficking and human trafficking. Garcelle's movie was really more about, Black girls missing. Ariana's movie is about a woman who has to buy back her daughter. So shout out to them. They're booked. They're busy. They're doing the damn thing. Okay, now they have been spotted outside. Now let's get into the article, and then we'll break down more of what's going on. So this is from TMZ. All right. It says, update, 9:50 a.m., Tom Sandoval rep tells TMZ, Raquel did not spend the night at Tom and Ariana's house. She stopped by the house Wednesday afternoon for about half an hour to say goodbye to Tom before he left town. Listen. I don't care what his reps are saying. Why did she have to stop by before he left town? For what? A booty call? Like, what are you stopping by for that you can't text, you can't FaceTime, you can't DM? Why do you have to be in person to say goodbye? If these two are so-called so in love or staying together or seeing where it goes but not pulling a label on it, and just think about it, your dude's about to go out, fly somewhere, travel, you're going to get that booty call in before he leaves. Bye. But let's keep going. It says Raquel is spending quality time with Tom Sandoval, and they're cozy enough to be hanging together in the very home where Tom lives with Ariana Madix for years. The Vanderpump Rules villainess, to most fans, was outside Tom and Ariana's place tossing a bag into the trunk of her car on Wednesday around 4 p.m. Now, this is really funny. The bag that she has, it's from a company called Base, or Base, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I believe it means kiss. And they posted on their Instagram, they're like, this is not a sponsored post. They're like, we create the bag, not the baggage. I was like, that's really funny. Anyway, side note. Let's keep going. Here's the thing. Raquel was wearing some very comfy clothes and slides as she made her exit. As for Tom's location, well, he left his home about half an hour after Raquel on his way to catch a flight out of town. Sandoval made his way to LAX around 7 p.m., catching a Southwest flight. He's flying Southwest? Okay. To his hometown of St. Louis. He was flying solo, so apparently he's not ready to bring Raquel home to meet the fam. Photogs brought up the elephant in the room at the airport, as well as a couple more questions, but the guy wasn't in the mood to chat, instead making a beeline to check his bag. However, the fact that he and Raquel are close enough to kick it where he lived with his ex is pretty telling about how close they remain, now that the Sandoval dust is settling. As we reported, Raquel was a no-show in court on Wednesday for the hearing over the restraining order against Scheana Shay. She alleged Scheana attacked her over the affair, but since she skipped court, the restraining order was dismissed. Now we know what or who was more important than court for Raquel. Now, that's a really good point. Rachel Raquel is at Sandoval and Ariana's house when she was supposed to be at court lying about Scheana Shay. Now, if you missed that, we all know Scheana did not punch her. She pushed her off of her after Rachel, had grabbed her wrist. She never showed up for the hearing, so obviously it got dismissed and Scheana was vindicated. But I do think it's very telling that she's at Sandoval's house. Now, this is the thing. This is what I think is going on with this. Number one, I think that Tom Sandoval doesn't really have anybody else at this point. I don't even think he has Schwartz. So, of course, he's still hanging out with Rachel Raquel. But I don't think he's hanging out with her because he's like genuinely madly in love with her. I think he's still hanging out with her because he wants to keep her under wraps. We all know she's weird, she's unhinged, she knows where the bodies are buried. And I think he's trying to do as much damage control and reputation rehab that he can. And I think a part of that is keeping a united front with her. I think he's just going to wait it out and wait it out and wait it out until he's able to break up with her without her going off the deep end and spilling the tea and all of that, and without him looking even worse than he already looks. That's what I think is going on here. Now, when it comes to Raquel, like I said before, I think she drinks the Kool-Aid. I think she really thinks she's in this amazing love affair. I think she has zero remorse for what she's done. And it is really disgusting that they're seen at his house. Like, this is also the thing. Raquel has her own place. She has an apartment. Why couldn't he stop by and see her at her place on the way to LAX? Why did she have to go into Ariana's house? Oh, that's right. She didn't have a problem, and neither did he, having sex multiple times in Ariana's house. Allegedly, on one occasion, Ariana was in the house. And then on the other occasion that we know of, Ariana was in Florida because her grandmother died. So this is a woman who had no problem having sex with her friend's boyfriend underneath the same roof when her friend was actually in the house. So why are we surprised that she has the audacity to do it now? You know? Also, if you guys didn't hear the tea, this is also what Sheena said. Sheena said that, okay, so as we all know, Sheena and Brock actually in real life, they don't live in LA. They live in Palm Springs. Shout out to Palm Springs. I'm actually moving there myself for a little bit, but that's for a whole other video. Anyway, so Sheena lives in Palm Springs. She does not actually live in LA anymore. Also, as we know, Lala literally just bought a house next door to Sheena in Palm Springs. Lala, Brock, and Sheena and their babies are doing like a Modern Family type deal. My fingers crossed that goes well, and there's no weird sexual stuff between Lala and Brock. I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying that is true right now. I'm just speculating. Sometimes you got to be careful with the whole, like, you know, throuple, but not a throuple, you know, couples. You just got to be careful. You just got to be careful. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying got to be careful. Anyway, let's keep it pushing and popping. So the apartment that Sheena films for the show is in Marina Del Rey. That's basically their filming apartment. It's not their real where they live. So when Raquel had no place to go after she broke up with James, Sheena let Raquel stay at that apartment in Marina Del Rey. And Sheena said that Rachel, was like, oh, I finally had sex after James. It was so good, blah, 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 blah. And Sheena was like, oh, good, yay. But like, where did you have sex? And she was like, oh, she had sex in the bedroom that Brock, Sheena, and Sheena's baby, Summer, sleep in when they're at the apartment in Marina Del Rey. Now, mind you, this isn't a small apartment. There's multiple bedrooms. So she's like, why did you have sex in the room, in the bed that I sleep in with my husband and my child, when there's a bedroom that you're supposed to be sleeping in to have sex in? And then Rachel also said that she had sex on the kitchen table. And Sheena was like, oh, you had sex on the kitchen table, the same exact kitchen table where I feed my family, where I have my daughter's high chair? Like, how disrespectful. Like, that's disgusting. And Sheena even had to say to her, did you wash the sheets? Like, did you clean up after yourself? And she was like, oh, no, I guess I'll have to do that. So you're talking about someone who has no respect of other people's boundaries, someone who is that disgusting and dirty. Like, this was not your bachelorette pad to just bust it open and dip it and doing it. You know, if it's your own apartment or home, knock yourself out. But if your friend is doing you a favor by letting you stay in their place, be respectful. You know, sure, live your life. You're single, you're young, do whatever you want to do. But don't have sex in the bed. where she shares with her husband and her child, and you don't even have the decency to clean the sheets? That is disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. So, eek, 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 eek. And the more and more it comes out about Raquel and Tom, it seems like I think we already know Tom Sandoval has been like having sex with multiple women basically forever. Like I don't think he's really been faithful to anyone. And it's already come out, and I'll just say allegedly, but it's down there on the banner. He, hasn't been faithful. And it's weird to even say faithful to Raquel, given she was a side chick. But he's had sex with multiple women in addition to Raquel. But it also seems like maybe Rachel was also you not, and again, it's weird to say wasn't being faithful when it's somebody else's man, but it seems like she was dipping it and doing it and having sex and busting it open for other dudes too. So I don't know why they're trying to say they have this like fairy tale love affair and they're so into each other and blah, blah, blah. And they just, all this stuff when it seems like both of them have been dipping it and doing it, hooking up with Schwartz, hooking up with Oliver, hooking up with Peter. Sure, it may be for a storyline, but that's still not a good look. And then don't forget about that Joey guy. That's the 6th guy on the show. So Joey is the guy that they are now saying is the guy that she was hooking up with at Coachella. Is that true or not? I don't know. That's what they're saying. But he obviously hangs out with that same crew, that same group of people. So that's 6 dudes. It's James, Tom, Peter, Oliver, and now this guy Joey, who's also a part of that same friend group. So that's at least 6 dudes she's had some type of sexual romantic encounter with. I'm not slut shaming. I'm not saying what she's doing is wrong. I'm just highlighting a pattern. Because I personally don't care how many people she sleeps with or hooks up with. Not my business. I don't care. Knock yourself out. It's just the cheating and the audacity of it all and the disrespect that I'm highlighting. You know what I mean? Absolutely nuts, absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think Tom realizes that, and I said this in my other video, I think he realizes he kind of bit off more than he can chew. I think when it comes to Rachel Raquel and Tom Sandoval, I actually think she's a little bit scarier than he is. Do I think he's narcissistic and egotistical? 100%. I think he's very childish and immature and, almost like Peter Pan syndrome, the boy who never grew up. But there's something different about Rachel Raquel. There's something particularly off. There's a different type of tick boom. And Lala and Sheena were talking about it today on Sheena's podcast. And she was just like, Sheena was crying and she was like, I don't know who Rachel is. I'm mourning my friendship with Raquel. Like, I don't even know. She hasn't even said sorry. She's shown no remorse, like nothing. And Lala basically was like, well, yeah, because the person that you thought Raquel was an illusion. That's a fantasy she created for you. The real person is Rachel. And it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And Lala and Sheena also said that, and this was some of the tea that they were spilling about the reunion, was that Raquel did not cry. She did not shed a single tear. She laughed, she smiled, and she smirked. And I believe that. That is some psycho stuff. It's like, even if you're like, you know what, I was just being really selfish. I was really into this guy. He was gassing me up. I made a mistake. I ruined my friendship. If you have any ounce of like humanity in you, even if you think you're in love with this guy, you still feel empathy. You still feel for the other person. And you're like, I messed up. I'm so sorry. And I feel like if you're a decent human being, like you would probably be upset and you'd cry and you'd be like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was being selfish. I was thinking about myself. I know what I did was wrong. I don't know who I was. I'm so sorry. You say something like that, Like I feel bad when I'm driving and I accidentally like cut off the person who's trying to like walk across the street. I'm always like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel bad because when you like kind of go over the line and then the person has to like walk around your car. I'm always like, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel bad for that. I can't imagine doing the crap they did. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But you guys, before we move on to our next story and stick around, Candy Canes, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, and also join our newsletter. It's down below, and our Patreon if you want. I just launched a new Patreon. That's more for self-care and self-love, but we can also add some pop culture in that too. So go ahead and check it out down below. So with that, let's move on to our next crazy story. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Now,